So let's just start with a comfortable seat and do a little unwinding in our shoulders. And just let go. Let the shoulders come down away from the ears with each exhale. And one more time. And as your shoulders come down away from the ears, just get a sense of the chin pushing back, not down, not up, just simply back. So we're aligning the spine. And then you can bring your hands on your belly and just take a few deep yogic breaths. And see if you can feel on the inhales how the belly expands a little bit naturally. You don't have to push it out or try to do it, it just does it naturally. Then move your hands to your waist, around your hips. And again, do a few more full yogic breaths. Now there's bone structure there, but so you can't feel the pushing out as much as the abdomen, but you might still feel a tiny bit of pressure there. Okay, then slide the palms of the hands to the lowest part of your back and just kind of holding there, pressing in firmly, and just take a couple final deep, full yogic breaths. And again, you might feel that tiny bit of pressure there with the bony structure of the hips and your spine, but feeling the pressure. Okay, and then relax your hands in your lap. And so this pressure that you feel, that pushing out, it's not just the front, it's the sides and it's your back. So this is what is called the brace. And when we think of our core, often we'll think of our tummies, but the core wraps around this whole part of the waist. So we're going to work with the brace in our little core exercise we're going to do today, the bird dog. So bird dog is done from a tabletop pose. So the first prop that might come in handy for this is a padding under your knees. You could fold a blanket. You could fold your mat if you didn't have a blanket. You could use a small pillow, not necessarily something too big and fluffy. So your knees are padded. The other props I find come in really handy for bird dog to take the pressure off the wrists is using blocks. So if you happen to have two blocks, just have them towards the front of your mat. Okay, and we are going to be doing a little bit of when we do this, it's weight bearing on the hands. So let's actually just warm up our wrists a little bit. You could just spiral around in one direction and just feel and notice and move. Mobility is like the motion that makes the lotion in our joints. You could circle the other way. You could even do a little bit of shaking. And you could also do a stretch with the fingers and a squeeze and a stretch and a squeeze. So I'm going to give options in case this is not workable on your hands. So some people might have arthritis, some people might have carpal tunnel or repetitive stress syndrome. And so always being mindful in your practice. Now, if you're able to just sit up on your knees here, we're going to do a little bit of the brace check-in here before we go on all fours. So again, taking a full yogic breath, imagine just breathing down into the core, the hips and the back. Feel the pressure. It creates almost a tautness. Keep the tautness as you exhale and engage the pelvic floor up slightly with the exhale. So when you engage the pelvic floor, maybe 20%, engaging the core, it creates a little bit more tautness at the front, keeping the pressure at the back. Okay, so this is what we know as our brace, and this is going to be a very important part of this tool for core strengthening. And it was designed by a Dr. Stuart McGill, who is a back specialist, to help people work with their core, strengthening their core, but also protecting your back while you're doing it. So what's important when you're in your table position is that your spine is neutral. So if you are okay on your hands, spread your fingers and like suction cups, just kind of cupping your hands into the mat, almost like you're drawing your elbows towards each other. So that's just gonna bring a little bit of protection in locking the arm bones. Now draw the shoulders away from the ears and pull the chin up. And then make sure you're not tilting the tail up or tucking the tail down, but you're neutral. Then find your brace. Feel the pressure and that little bit of pushing out right up in the lower back, the back of the body. And as you exhale, keep the brace, keep the pressure, but find a bit more tautness with the pelvic floor engaged and the abdomen slightly engaged. You're not sucking it in, but it might just feel a little bit more engaged with the pelvic floor engaged. Okay, even just doing this is working with your core, and we don't even have to add anything to it. Okay, take a little break off your hands if they need a little movement. And if it doesn't work on your hands, for some people, trying on your knuckles works. Okay, and so you could try that. And if neither of those work, I'm going to show you an alternative in a moment with blocks. But let's just sneak in our first bird dog hold. So again, locking in your arms, draw the shoulders away from ears, pulling up the chin, neutral spine. Breathe into the brace. Engage pelvic floor as you exhale, but keep the brace. And now taking your left leg back, right arm forward, and breathe and hold the brace. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release, giving your left wrist a little relief. Whew. And take a couple breaths here. If it's not okay for you to sit in this position known as diamond, you can come into high diamond, and that will take the pressure off the knees. Okay, but let's do that on the other side. So find your stable table, neutral spine, shoulders away from ears, chin pulls up, breathe into the brace. Good, engage pelvic floor as you exhale, but keep the pressure in the low back and waist. So opposite side will now be our right leg back, left arm forward. Now you can flex or point the toes. Good, and breathe in. You don't have to stay for the 10, listen to your body. Even if you can only stay for a few counts, that's fine. Take a rest, you might join back in. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, keep breathing. 4, 3, make sure your chest isn't collapsing down. 2, and 1. Okay, release. Okay, so again, maybe that doesn't work for your wrists. I almost get a tiny bit of tingle coming up my right arm sometimes. And so that's always a sign to not do that, to come out when you're feeling any tingles. And if you're feeling any sharpness, of course, and stabbing like pain, don't do it. All right. So we're going to try that again now with the blocks. And this was like a big aha moment for me. Now, one thing is important is your blocks feel stable for you. So there are these solid wood blocks, but there's also foam blocks. They both have advantages and disadvantages. So in this case, we want stability, and obviously solid wood is a bit more stable. So this is the way I like to do it. Ideally, what you want to do is try to make the blocks as high as your lower forearm, up to the elbow. Okay, so mine doesn't quite make it, but it's gonna work. So you actually put the forearm on the block, and that way your wrist has no pressure on the wrist. But I'll give you a little warning. If you are gonna try it this way, if the wrists don't feel like they can handle the weight, is that you now put a bit more pressure in your shoulder though. So just make note of that and be mindful of the shoulder. Okay, so you can have left arm on the blocks, you pick the level, and right hand on the floor. Find your stable table, breathe, embrace, shoulders away from ears, chin tucks up. And it's going to be left leg back and right arm forward. Okay, and make sure you're not collapsing your chest down as we hold for 10 and 9, 8, 7, 6. So it's more important that the spine is neutral, less important how high you lift your leg. Actually, less is better with the leg. If you go too high, you'll start arching your back. 3 and 2 and 1. Okay, release carefully, mindfully, breathe. And it's really important that we rest in between. Breathe and relax and feel. Whew. And so you could decide if you like the blocks or not. In some cases, they might actually be necessary for you to manage this core strengthening technique. And I think it works brilliantly for my body. So I just share possibilities that might work for you. Now, in some ways, I feel like I could take the blocks a bit higher, but again, the higher, the skinnier the block side is a little less stable. So, we kind of have to do maybe there's little compromises, but what's going to work best. So find your stable table. If you're using the blocks, you have your forearms, right arm on the blocks, left hand on the floor. Okay, and find your stable table, chin up, shoulders back, away from the ears. And find the neutral spine. Now, here you can have your toes curled or flat, so, and again, we're going to take our right leg back. You can have it pointed or flexed. So breathe into the brace, pull the pelvic floor up a bit, hold that, brace, keep breathing though, right leg back, left arm forward for 10 and 9, 8 and 7, 6 and 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Okay, great. Allow your core to relax now. Find a soft belly, relax shoulders, release your arms and hands. Breathe in and out. And just notice how you feel. So the rest is just as important as the effort we make. Okay, so we're going to go back to the other side. This time, this is going to be the final set we're going to do. And this one is the official bird dog, where you are flowing your arm and leg. And then what's important in doing this is that you keep the arm on the right side as it flows in, and you're keeping the leg on the left side as it flows in. So there's no diagonal crunching, which is back in the day, we would do that sometimes. But what that happens is it flexes your spine a bit. So we're trying to keep that neutral spine, which is safer for your back. Okay, so if you're using blocks, or if you're able to do it on your hand, just put your left hand on the floor, Lock in the arm bones. If you're on the block, just make sure your elbows under your shoulder. Okay, and then set it up. Breathe in. Brace, shoulders back, chin pulled up, left leg back, right arm forward. Inhale, slow flow, flow the arm and leg in. Okay, and if you can't do 10, that's fine. Just do less. Listen to your body. 9. So the exhale, you're pulling in. Inhale, you're going out. Make sure your chest isn't collapsing down. Just make sure your left shoulder feels okay. See if you can move from the core and to the core. I lost count. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. 4 or 3. 2. And maybe 1 or 2 more. It's up to you. Oh, and yep, that's it. My body was saying, nope. Okay, relax. Have the little rest. Appreciate the strengthening of your core, really working with the brace. It's almost like the way a bodybuilder, a weightlifter will wear the actual literal wrapping around your brace, or even men that movers. And it's to protect their back. It's to brace and hold kind of in. And we actually have our own natural brace. So we're just trying to activate it and get connected to it so that we can tap into it in our daily life, maybe when we are lifting things or we're doing something strenuous to activate the core. Let's move the block to the other side. I've noticed lately in my bike riding, it's if I do my brace, I actually take a little pressure off my legs. My legs want to do all the work. But it's like, no, keep your core strong and active. So resting right forearm on blocks if you're using blocks, elbow under shoulder. Or if you're using your hand, just put your hand on the floor table. Find your stable table. Breathe in the brace, pull the chin up, shoulders back. So it's really important that we're practicing with integrity. If we get tired, we get sloppy, and then we get better at being sloppy. So we want our practice not to be perfect, but to be safe for the body, beneficial. Inhale, exhale, bird dog, flow in. And slow flow. So slower is building more strength. 9, 8. Okay, focus on your back, staying somewhat stable. It's really hard to do. This side feels a little harder for me. 7, 6, 5. I lose count. But again, the counting's not as important as you listen to your body. The moment you get sloppy and you just are not doing it, right? It's probably time to come out. I'm just going to do one more. Feel free if you want to do a couple more. Whew. And have a little rest. And this time, let's rest down on our bellies. If you have a folded blanket, feel free to put your belly on the blanket and rest your forehead maybe on the back of your hands. Relax your legs and just take just a few deeper breaths here, breathing into your belly, letting go. Just offering a little grounding here. Just relax the breath. It can be nice sometimes to bend your legs and just do a gentle windshield wiper with your feet side to side slowly. And just gently releasing the back a little bit, massaging your belly. And then flip yourself over to come onto your back, and we will have a this mini Shavasana. So if you do want any extra support for this, feel free. And so the resting is just as important as the effort that we made. As we rest, we get to actually assimilate the efforts, the work we did. And we can allow that to just sink in. And because the healthy stress we brought in, when we relax, it sends signals to the brains to say, oh, okay, let's come in and do the repair work, which the repair work actually is what builds more strength in the body in the places where we worked. So bird dog can be great for strengthening your back as well as working with the core. Just let your belly be soft now, your low back released, your face relaxed. Allow your belly to sink with every exhale. Allow the breath to get quieter. And scan through your body, see if there's anywhere you could let go a bit more. Okay, and then whenever you feel ready, just to come back to life. Stretching, spiraling wrists, ankles, wiggling fingers, toes. And if you like, you can bend your legs to hug knees towards chest. This can also be nice to release the back. And then take your time when you're ready to come up. And I thank you for practicing some core work with me today. Namaste.